back to Real Estate in Paradise with Jesse and Chelsea.
Today we're going to be talking about a very interesting topic that I think would interest a lot of parents thinking of maybe they're not liking their hometown and they want to move abroad. So today we're going to be talking about raising children in a different country, in a different culture, and
Specifically in Puerto Vallarta.
Puerto Vallarta.
So I guess we'll start by just sharing a little bit about our story.
Background a little bit.
Yeah, a little context. So I'm from New York. I moved down here in 2019, met my husband, and we now have a daughter. Not gonna lie, I was maybe a little nervous about having a child abroad. How was the birthing process gonna be? What was it gonna look like? And based off a recommendation from my husband's niece, we found who I think is the best gynecologist in Puerto Vallarta, Dr. Flores. Shout out, he's so good. Just went to my monthly appointments when I got pregnant, and he was with me from the beginning till the end. And I think per visit every month, I paid him $30, which is 600 pesos, so the equivalent of $30 US, which, I mean, it's just incredible. Like, you go in,
it usually ranges between anywhere like 600 to 800 pesos. I know that sometimes my actual gynecologist during my pregnancy, there'd be times when I'm going in so much and I had so many questions, I'd be like, don't worry, you don't have to pay this one. Like, they're very accessible, for sure.
And I know, I didn't have any appointments scheduled when I went back to New York to visit my family, but I can imagine that the price for a gynecologist appointment to check up on your baby is just way more than $30, let's just say.
For sure.
Yeah. So then when it came time for her birth, when she was on her way out, I did a natural birth, and we went to CMQ Hospital right here in the Romantic Zone in Puerto Vallarta. The staff was incredible. I felt very at home. I think at home as you can feel in a hospital. And the whole birthing process here came to about $1,000, including the hospital stay, the doctor, everything. So, I mean, $1,000 to have your baby, and that's without insurance, right?
Yeah,
that's no insurance. That's just, coming in as, no insurance. So that to me was a total eye-opener to just how incredible the medical care system is in Mexico, and especially in Puerto Vallarta, and how accessible it is price-wise.
Yeah, I feel like Mexico doesn't have the best rep for medical care, but actually living here and experiencing it, I definitely think there is a way higher level of medical care and assistance, and the way they attend you and the way they're available all the time. I mean, there's sometimes I've talked to a doctor and it's 1 a.m. and they're answering me. They're like, come to emergencies, I'll help you, this and that.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't get that anywhere else.
No, you do not get that.
To have the doctor's actual personal number and be able to be like, hey, I need help with this, and they're there to help you.
No, never.
There's nowhere else like that.
Definitely wouldn't happen in New York.
No, for sure. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about my birthing background. So I'm from right outside of Vancouver, Canada, and 6 years ago, I had my first son, and 3 years ago, I had my daughter. So I've had 2 different experiences.
Yeah.
So with my son, he was born about 45 minutes away from here in a small, I guess you could call it like beach town. Yeah. So obviously there's not big hospitals, and so I basically gave birth at one of the nicer clinics in the area.
Okay.
And my birth came to about, I'm gonna say 100 and I'm just trying to think. It was 12,000 pesos with anesthesia.
12,000 pesos? So $600.
$600.
Oh my
God. Yeah.
What?
And it was a natural birth, and it was 7 hours. I stayed there 2 days with my son. There was no real extra costs. It was pretty much in and out once I recovered. my actual whole family got to be in the birth. Since it was a little clinic and there wasn't like this whole people running around and anything,
Right.
my dad was there, my mom was there, my brother, Adriel, my son's dad, the grandmas, grandpas, like everybody
Wow.
was able to come in and out and
Yeah.
be a part of whatever part they wanted to be a part of. So that was really cool and really inexpensive.
Wow.
Now for my daughter, that was 3 years ago, and I gave birth in one of it's called Hospiten, which
Oh
is
yeah.
in Marina. And I had just gotten insurance. It didn't cover my birth yet because I believe there's a period of time until it's able to cover. So I don't remember exactly what it is, but my birth of my daughter was a lot more complicated, and there was a lot more procedures that needed to be done, even though it was a natural birth. So it did come to about 30,000 pesos.
But still, that's $1,500.
$1,500. I mean,
That's
it's not
Yeah.
too much at all. So yeah, it definitely is very inexpensive to give
Yeah.
birth. Like I've seen TikToks online, and there's people like, do you want to know how much it costs to give birth at a certain state in the States? And they're like these humongous numbers.
Oh,
where I'm like, okay, thank God I live in Mexico.
I know, thank God I live in Puerto Vallarta. Jeez. No, it's crazy. And I think too, like, not even, so like the whole birthing experience for me was awesome, and it was very,
same.
it was like super inexpensive and all of that. But I think even now as I'm taking her to pediatrician appointments and all of that, I'm seeing that it's just as inexpensive to give her the medical care that she needs.
Yeah,
Like
for
to take her for a checkup, it's about $40. Like each time I need to, and that's
Sometimes even less.
sometimes even less, right? It depends on which doctor you're going to.
Yeah.
But
And you almost create a relationship here with your doctors.
yeah,
I remember my mom, I was telling you the other day, I was like, I love my pediatrician here. Like, I needed a certain form that I need from the pediatrician for the school. And right away, she sent it to me, no questions asked. She's asking me how the kids are, like, how's Amaya, blah, blah, blah,
No,
this and that. And I was like, we never had that in Canada. It was, you've got to make an appointment, in and out, an hour, and bye. Like, there was no relationship of anything.
Right.
So I think we're really
blessed.
Yeah,
We're really blessed here in terms of the medical world and how it relates to raising our children here, and from the birth up until they're growing up.
I just thought of this right now that we're talking about birth and pediatricians and gynecologists and all that for raising children or having children down here. There's actually this new place. It's called Mom, and it's gynecologists, it's prenatal yoga, it's nutritionists for pregnant or post pregnancy.
Right.
They have all this group, and it's all groups of women that dedicate to women's health and birthing process and all of that. So yeah, I think that's really cool. Like, you don't really get that, and it's the same price. You go and see, and it's the same amount that you would pay to go see a gynecologist or to see a pediatrician. Like, you're not going to pay anything extra.
Right.
So I think there's a lot of pros to giving birth here for sure.
No, definitely. And tell you what, there's nothing like walking out of that hospital and seeing like the ocean right down the street. Like beautiful like palm trees and just your surroundings. It's like it automatically just, I don't know, for me it was really comforting to have that surrounding.
So why don't we fast forward to what life is like now?
Yeah, so schools, right? Let's get into schools, because schools are, it's a big topic when you're a parent, where am I going to send my child to school? We're abroad, we don't really know how the education system works down here. Well, listen, like anywhere else, there's public schools and there's private schools. I personally am sending my child to a private school just because they're really economic, and I think the difference in education here between public schools and private schools is a little
there's
more
quite a bit of a gap.
Yeah, there's a bit of a gap. Like in New York, I went through the New York City public school system my whole life, and it was great. I went to Fordham University, I went to a good college, it's just, that's how it is in the States. I think public schools.
Same with Canada. I mean, public schools nobody really goes to private schools.
Yeah, unless
like
you're
goes
the rich of the rich.
Exactly. Yeah. But here, definitely, public schools are, I mean, I don't even know, I haven't had the experience educational-wise, but definitely in the areas of the schools or like the classrooms or maybe like the playgrounds and everything, there is a huge gap of difference.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel better myself, almost because also a lot of the private schools, they teach English, or they teach a third language, or there's just a little bit more of an advancement.
Yeah. No,
but I mean, both are doable. I have friends that have gone to public schools here in Mexico, and they're foreigners, and they loved it.
Yeah.
For sure. Right. I mean, it just kind of, you gotta feel it out.
Yeah.
What works best for you.
And I've had no interaction, I've had no knowledge of the public school system here at all, really.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, my husband went to the American school here in Puerto Vallarta. I mean, I think, you know, if you're from Canada or you're from the US, you know what the American school is, right? They have American School of Paris, they have American School, you know, they're all around the world. And this is a private school that's really, really just advanced. You know, it's one of the best educations I think that you can get here in Puerto Vallarta. You know, along with schools like the British American School, the Anglo-American.
SPAC, there's Colegio Bucerías, Tepeyac,
there's a lot of
Campo Verde. There's a lot of big, and you know what? The thing I love the most about a lot of these schools that we're naming here is the outdoor areas that they have.
Yeah, we're big on outdoor areas here.
I mean, that's so cool. Like I know at my kids' school, they have this huge like football field in between all of these different buildings of different grades of school. Which I mean, is cool. They get to go do PE outside and hang out, and there's huge palm trees.
No, it's so cool. I mean, I remember in my middle school, our playground was on the roof of the building.
Oh my god.
And it was like gated, like it was you were in like a cage. We were in like a cage. In my middle school, that was our PE. So yeah, to have this like incredible outdoor space is like so cool.
I'm in shock right now.
Yeah, no, that's how, I mean, in New York City public school, they're not going to send you out into the streets for PE. So we had, you know, we made do with what we had.
Yeah.
And it was cool. I mean, we played kickball up there and we had so much fun. But yeah, it's definitely a different experience here than over
Plus
there.
the weather's nice all year round, basically, that they get to do all these things. Like my kid did a camping trip overnight at their school in their courtyard.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's so many cool things.
Yeah.
So yeah. Price range. Let's hit price range.
Yeah, so
schooling.
what I send, my daughter's not old enough yet to go to those, you know, she
Larger
could, I guess,
schools.
go to, you know, the British or Anglo, but we have her in a more like a guarderia, so kind of like
Montessori type.
Yeah, Montessori daycare, and they have older grades as well. It's a great school. It's called Club Koala Care. It's super cute. I mean, I love it. And you know, I'm paying about $150 a month. I send her 5 days a week, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. They're all week, and I pay $150 a month. I mean, that's like incredible. So, I mean, you know, and the teachers are great. All of her little friends are there. She loves the teachers. And I really love the way that they teach. You know, I think it's just that Montessori kind of style is really
personalized, more interactive.
And the classes are really small, which is great because I know that she
a lot
gets
of
the
the
attention
schools
she
here,
needs.
the smaller schools, there's a lot of great Montessoris and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where I mean, my Adriel's first years were Montessori, and it was like 6 kids in his class, and they build this relationship with their teachers and their other classmates, and it's amazing.
That's awesome.
Definitely, for sure.
But I know, and you know, because your kids are a little older than Daphne, that, you know, it does get a little bit more pricey as you go into those more, you know, advanced private schools.
Yeah, so me that I've done both the Montessori and now that they're in a bigger school, the reason why I decided to go to a bigger school was because this bigger school has kindergarten all the way to high school. So I wanted them to be in a school that they really liked, I really liked, and that they were going to build these relationships with these friends till high school and then leave high school and still have these friendships.
Yeah.
So roughly for each child, I'm paying about between, I think it's 4,800 pesos, which comes to be about,
It's like $250.
Yeah.
$250 each per child, so about $500 a month for both.
500
To send them
for
to a
both.
really good school.
Really good school. I mean, they have.
I mean, that's, in the States you pay, it must be at least $1,000 a month to send your kid to a private school. But if you are used to a public school, yeah, probably even more. But yeah, if you are used to, in your state, whether you're in Canada or the US, if you're used to a public school system, I mean, the switch over here is not going to be as drastic because you're only going to be end up paying about $250 a month per child.
Yeah.
If you go to a really, and that's a really good school too. So
yeah, I think there's lots of benefits, and I feel like being just an adult without kids down here, maybe you don't see those certain benefits that you get from living here.
Yeah.
I mean, with cheap schooling, private schooling, cheap medical care, I mean,
it's great. I mean,
it's
you really
great.
just got it all. And
Now
then
having
all the
kids-
activities you can
Oh
do
my
here,
gosh.
it's like crazy.
birthday parties are
Birthday parties, oh
are
my
definitely
god.
a big thing down here
Yeah, I
in
feel
Mexico.
like-
I feel like huge pressure
There's
every
a,
year.
I know. I feel like there is a birthday party every weekend.
Yeah.
No, and it's incredible. I love it.
I love
Dale,
it.
dale, dale. That's the piñata song. And if you move down here, you will learn it like the back of your hand.
I've only learned it like about a year ago.
Me too, actually. Me too. But now I know it by heart, and I
Okay.
I'm so proud of myself for the words.
Yeah, so
And-
there's great activities. And
Yeah.
most all parties are pool parties, they're outdoor parties,
Yeah.
there are these activities on the beach
Yeah.
or in the
Yeah.
salons. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
everything's outdoor, and everything's
Yeah.
so cool, and everything's so inexpensive that they can do
Yeah.
these big, cool birthday parties.
Yeah, you can get a
and
big
activities.
balloon arch. You can make a really beautiful display with cakes and cookies and
Mhm.
and you know whatever little props that you buy depending on the theme of your child's birthday party. But it's really
Something you just can't do that back home.
yeah. I mean, no, it's different. It's very different. And yeah, we're I think just very, very blessed to have the opportunities we do here for activities for our kids. You know, birthday parties, right? Yeah, there's a bunch
Swimming
of different
lessons.
swimming lessons.
Your daughter goes to swimming lessons.
Yeah, actually, now we're living in a little coto, a little like gated community where we don't have a pool, but we used to have a pool in our old one, and the teacher would just come and give Daphne lessons at our pool.
And how
So
much
that
did
was-
that cost?
That is $150 per month, and she's in classes. It comes out to about $20 a class for 30 minutes.
Yeah,
Which
that's
is
pretty
great.
good. I know there's lots of
And it's
people that-
personalized. She comes to the house. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of extra things that I'm paying for.
I know
so-
there's like gymnastics. I know there's my son goes to karate, which is 1,000 pesos a month, which
so
is
$50 a month.
$50 a month. It's not even.
So good.
My daughter goes to ballet, same thing, about $50 a month. I know there's horseback riding. I know there's
Oh, horseback riding, yeah.
rock wall
Tennis.
climbing, tennis. Tennis is really big down here. There's
Yeah.
lots of tennis courts.
Yeah.
And there's lots of different like
Yeah.
groups of kids that.
Right. And there are a lot of like
tennis.
after school programs. There's this place called Kidu,
Uh-huh.
which is great. There is this place called Tickety Talk, which is kind of reminds me of like, I don't know, Chuck E. Cheese or
Uh-huh.
something, but without like the arcade games.
Yeah.
It's very, I mean, you know, your kid can fall down in this place and they can't get hurt, which is so cool. And there's like huge slides with balls and fun things like that. So, I mean, Daphne could spend all day in there if I let her. So there are
Definitely
places,
a lot
and
of
it's like
activities.
$210 to let her go in all day.
Yeah. No, there's
Something
so
like
many
that.
activities, so many outdoor, indoor. I mean,
Yeah.
for sure, and it's inexpensive to take. I
Yeah.
remember my mom was saying to me a while back when I first had my son. She was just like, I mean, she had no real idea what actual activities costed down here. But
Yeah.
when living back home, close outside of Vancouver, those things are expensive.
Yeah.
Like you don't take your kid every weekend to go to an arcade or
Yeah.
to a trampoline area or like
Yeah.
horseback riding. No, you just don't. Like
Yeah.
it's just way too expensive.
Especially horseback riding. It's really
It's
expensive.
really expensive.
Oh my god, no.
And here it's not expensive.
Yeah.
Like it's not expensive. And she's like, you're so lucky you get to do that to your kids.
Yeah.
Like all these different experiences of trying out new
Yeah.
sports and
No, I mean your
new
childhood here is
hobbies.
unparalleled, and actually next week I'm gonna take my daughter back home for about a month so she can see what a New York summer is like.
Mhm.
Gonna be a bit of a culture shock, I'm sure. We're not gonna be going to Chuck E. Cheese every day and all of that. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, she's gonna be playing in the sprinklers and the playgrounds like I used to, and I think it'll be refreshing to come back down here after a month and be like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. You gotta get like the best of both worlds there.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then, right, if you don't want to spend any money and you don't want to maybe take your kid to, I don't know, Tickety Talk, or, you know, you don't want to do those extracurricular activities of taking them horseback riding or
everything you
karate
need
or
in
whatever.
nature here.
Yeah, there's the rivers, there's the beach,
There's the mountains, there's trails.
hikes, yeah. There's so much you can do here without spending a dime.
And I think that is, I think for me as a mom right now, that's a huge plus for me. That's like a huge pro, because you don't always get that in every town. You don't get that in every city. There's not in every city you can be like, okay, well, what are we gonna do on this Sunday? Well, let's go to the beach.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost me a penny, and my kids are experiencing the beach, the sand,
the sun,
and they get to do that for free whenever they want.
Yeah.
I mean, they get to go, okay, let's go hiking, and they get to learn all these new things about the jungle or whatever. Like, I mean, I think that is a huge blessing to live in PV for sure.
No, for sure. And I know all of the kids, this is something interesting. A lot of people that I know in the States, right, they've moved around a lot as they've grown up, right?
Yeah.
And here, a lot of people that I know out of my husband's friends group, they were all born here, raised here, and they've stayed. They haven't left.
Yeah,
and
whereas a lot of times, a lot of people grow up and they
move. They're like, bye, I'm out of here, I want to leave, you know.
I know, but a lot of people do stick around here.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying why I want my kids into the same
so they have
school.
The same friends.
They have the same friends until they're adults.
Yeah.
Which for me, I thought that was really cool. I wish I would have had that, because I did move before I got into high school.
Right.
So I didn't really get that. So for me, that was a big thing for my kids. That I see, like you're saying, I see all these friends of my husband, and they've been here since little, and they're groups of people, and they've known each other since kindergarten or secondary school, middle school.
Yeah, and
I think that was really cool.
And that's super cool. And then to have them stay and know that you'll always have your friends super, like right there with you throughout your whole life. You've got brothers and sisters for life. I mean, I think that's super cool.
So what do you think the hardest experience has been raising a child abroad?
I honestly think it would have been so much harder for me if I raised her in New York. So honestly, like for
raising
me,
her here, what do you think the hardest thing was? Nothing?
Nothing. I mean, it's all just like things that happen at home, like her tantrums and all of that.
That's just raising a child.
That's just raising a child anywhere. So there's been absolutely nothing. I've had absolutely nothing happen here that I
frustrated and compared it to back home.
No. Maybe the playground situation. I wish there were maybe some better playgrounds here, like just outdoor public playgrounds.
Yeah.
They stink.
Yeah.
You know, that's the only thing.
That's the only thing I would say too.
That's it.
Playgrounds, public playgrounds.
Yeah.
No, I don't think I've had any real frustrations where I've been like, oh, I wish I lived back home so my kid could have this.
No, never.
No. Contrary to that.
Yeah.
I'm like, thank God I live here and they're growing up here and I can give these all these things.
Right.
Like hobbies and things and And plus, let's talk a little bit about medical care, like private medical care. So now, like, you gave birth, and that's if you have insurance or not. So, basically, medical insurance down here. I mean, there's two types of medical insurance. There's like the EAMS, which is like the public medical
we don't have
insurance.
I don't have insurance, which I know you tell me about all the time. But I forget.
But I think it's good to know because I mean. You can walk into emergency at a hospital and they're gonna ask you for a down payment of 15,000 pesos. Now, if you have insurance, private insurance, that changes.
Yeah.
I mean, every insurance is different on what it covers. Yeah. But roughly for what I pay for my son monthly is 1,000 pesos.
So you pay $50 and he's covered basically for whatever happens.
He has 75 million pesos worth of coverage as medical service. Yeah, I pay about 2,400 for myself.
Okay, $100.
Roughly.
$120.
But yeah, that gives you the security, like I told you, and I always tell Jesse, you need to have it. Because you never know what's going to happen. You know, they break their arm, and if you don't have cash on you, you got to pay that emergency fee. You're like, okay, this is how am I going to do this?
Yeah.
So I think that's, and then also there is the public insurance, which my parents just have the public insurance, which is called EAMS. So it's basically like these EAMS hospitals, and I think my parents pay year round like 14,000 pesos.
Okay.
And I mean, you can treat if you got cancer, if you broke an arm, if you did whatever under the sun, you can treat them. Obviously, like we said, public school and private school.
It's the same. It's public hospital, private hospital.
There's a little bit of a gap, but I mean, there definitely is the attention you do need to have there.
Right.
So I think that's just cool to know down here, because I know medical in the States and medical in Canada is not something that's cheap, and it's not something that everybody has accessibility to.
No, and it's a nightmare, the whole insurance thing in the States. At least for me, it was always a hassle to get that going.
Yeah, no. So
and
no,
here
it's easy. It's easy. I mean, you'll probably meet somebody down here that has a friend that works in insurance, and that they'll be like, oh yeah, I can get you set up on this plan. I mean, everything just kind of flows. Like,
everything flows here.
Everything just flows.
Yeah. And I think, raising kids here is honestly probably one of the, life is just easy down here. And raising Daphne for me has been relatively really easy down here. And that's because of the accessibility to medical care, the overall inexpensiveness of it all, extracurricular activities, nature, schooling. I mean, it's all just so well-rounded down here when you're raising your kids. So for those of you that are looking to relocate and raise your kids abroad here, know that it is so doable. You are going to be in shock with how easy your life will actually become. To be honest, I think it's a lot harder to raise kids anywhere else than here. Yeah,
I definitely feel the same way. Like, I have no frustrations of raising kids here. I would do it again.
Yeah. Well,
I would recommend it.
Yeah, recommend it, right?
If you're having a baby, come to PV.
Yeah, seriously. And I guess maybe before we sign off, we should talk about the getting citizenship. That's a big issue.
Yeah, that is a big. I just actually went through that. I actually just did that. So, I mean, every citizenship you're American, I'm Canadian. For me, my case was I was able to grant my child, being half Mexican, he already has his Mexican citizenship, he was born here, but he needed his Canadian citizenship, so he had the same rights if he wanted to ever go back to Canada.
Right.
So basically, it costed me $100 Canadian dollars.
Okay.
That's the whole entire thing. It was easy. It takes about 4 weeks for them.
To ship
to get all the paperwork like set up, notarized, etc. About 4 weeks.
Okay. Did you go for an in-person interview?
No. For the citizenship, you actually have to send it to Mexico City. Okay. And then it takes about a year and 8 months at the moment due to COVID for you to get your document, official document back.
Okay, that's fine.
But with Adriel, when I did Adriel's, it took only about 8 months.
Okay, good.
So wait a year less, and same ideal situation, 4 weeks, notarized paperwork, and you pay the fee, and you just talk to somebody on email and be like, hey, are my paperwork good? Like, is this good? Am I missing something? Passport? And then we just did the passport as well. Nice. Passport was $77 US.
Nice.
And it was really easy. I just went into that one is actually in person. You go take your documents and say, okay, it's good. Okay, perfect. They stamp everything. Okay, I'll call you in 4 weeks when your passport is here.
We did the same thing we did with Daphne last year. We did the citizenship and the and the passport. It's kind of all in one. It's just one fell swoop, which was great. We just went there's an American embassy in Puerto Vallarta. So we just went there. We brought all of our paperwork. Me and my husband both went. We brought her. She had her passport photo with her, super cute. And they sent everything over to Mexico City, and we got her passport within 6 weeks. And that was it. So, I mean, it's super easy. I mean, bureaucratic stuff is always kind of a pain in the butt, but it was relatively easy compared
And
to.
I know that is a big doubt of a lot of people. But like, what if I have my baby down here?
Oh
and then it's
God,
gonna
I
be
can't tell you how many
Mexican?
family members were messaging me on Facebook Messenger when I was
How are you
pregnant.
having your baby
You're
down
having
there?
your baby down there? What? And I'm like, you guys have no idea how easy this is.
They're just, they have to have blood.
Yeah, exactly.
They're
And-
still mine. I can still give them my, they're still
Exactly, I know. And the citizenship process and the passport process was so easy. And I think if that's a topic of kind of uncertainty for you, and maybe is why you're not making the move down here,
It's doable.
yeah, just
It's
don't even let
Not
that stop
expensive.
processing it. Yeah.
It's not a hassle. It's
Put
not
your worries to
complicated.
rest. It is not a big thing at all. Yeah. So if you're a parent and you want to know anything at all about raising kids here in Puerto Vallarta, what it's like, Chelsea and I will definitely be more than happy to answer any questions you guys may have. Comment
Yes.
below. We are here to answer any questions you may have. And of course, if you're looking to buy property in Puerto Vallarta, Coldwell Banker La Costa is your spot to do it. Well, thank you guys very much for joining us.
Yes, thank you. And please join us for next episode, which is more for real estate agents. But
Yeah.
hope you guys enjoyed today.
Great. Thank you guys for joining us on Real Estate in Paradise with Jesse and Chelsea.